Hey, it's Pittsburgh Pat with Ryan Doyle, the Verdigris Table. How are you today,
S-
Ryan?
So far, so good. It's early still, but
It
we're off
is.
to a good start.
We're gonna have to rename this spot Coffee Talk or something.
Coffee talk.
We was playing D&D last night. The worst thing happened, Barbara. You won't believe it.
Got
Boy, if you guys know
verklempt.
what
Verklempt. Been a long time.
I'm so verklempt. Yeah, if anybody is old enough to know what that means. Let us know in the comments below. So we're gonna talk about last night's D&D session, which nobody died.
Nobody died.
None of the good guys died. Patrick the Paladin, I'm going to call him Patrick the Paladin, uh, to distinguish him from me. Yeah, he emphasized several times that he was concerned about player death.
Hmm.
He was like, not yet, we didn't die yet. And I thought I made a strong build, but it wasn't strong enough apparently. And it was funny. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So you sufficiently traumatized us, which is great.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotta put the fear in the players
But
early.
you have to, there has to be a stake, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise it's Adventure League and it's all bubblegum unicorns and rainbows. And that can be fun for a minute, but
I and again, you maybe I'm overcorrecting for my own personal taste, but if I feel the dungeon master pulling punches, if
yeah.
I feel like I can't lose, there is no wrong answer. Yeah, the dramatic tension goes out immediately for me. So.
No, I agree. So we're doing Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Mhm.
So for those who are following along, we this is our third session.
Yes.
And we we've raided this haunted house that's about an hour or two to the south of Saltmarsh, and we been there a couple times now. So so we went back to clean up our mess. We found some stolen goods in the basement, presumably stolen goods in the basement after we cleared out the dungeon. Oh, well, we quit mid combat last session, so let's talk about how the combat was resolved. So there was a mage and some uh, what were they, hobgoblins in
Hmm.
this kind of cave space, and our sorcerer cast fog cloud, so everything was obscured, and so we started firing blindly into this space. But one of our members decides the druid wants to like go in there, right? So that was an interesting choice.
Well, she got blinded by color spray. So she was like, I'm blind anyway. So there's
Blind
no
anyway. Yeah.
double blind isn't a thing.
Right. So that was an actually a very interesting uh
Sally wants to say hi.
idea. Hey, that's so funny. I just
She wants.
got offered a dog to sponsor a dog slash baby gate. Um, I don't
Oh,
have a dog, but you want a dog gate? I'll have them
I'm
send me
okay.
a free dog gate, and then I can give you a dog gate. So I don't know, YouTube. I just saw this thing, just a little bit meta, but for those of you who are out there, some of my viewers are YouTubers, or want to be YouTubers. I guess there's a bill that may be passed by Congress that's going to says something about restricting people who buy subscribers and views, because
Hmm.
I guess there is a business out there where people just like, I don't know how they do it, but they buy views and
A, a,
subscribers,
1,000%. I don't see.
and then they use that to market goods, become like kind of what they call fake influencers.
Hmm.
Because I have this whole thing where I was just doing like a voice, and I was kind of like, I called it the fake influencer thing. And I was just like, here we are at the zoo, and it's just like, there's so many animals here, and it smells so bad. Like, Becky, let's like get out of here, like that kind of thing. And I called it the fake influencer, but now that's getting like, it's like, that's a thing apparently. I didn't know that that was a thing where people set up these channels so that they can market things. But so YouTube has a program where they reach out and say to people, hey, if you want to, if there's stuff that your audience might want to look at, there are people here who would be willing to sell you, like if they make like D&D dice, or something, they're like, you have a D&D channel, why don't you like promote this? They'll give the YouTubers a chance to make a little bit of money. So what I'm thinking is if they pass this bill saying that these farms that do this stuff can't do it, then the channels like ours that are organically grown might be able to step a little bit into that space if they wanted to, which is interesting.
Yeah, it seems like such a short term. I guess it depends what you're trying to do. But
Yeah.
like if you buy 1 million subscribers, no one's watching still, right?
Right.
Like 1 million bots clicked a button. But I don't know. I guess yeah, if you're chasing cloud or you're trying to like scam advertisers because you want a free baby gate or something.
I
Like, hey, I have a
guess.
million subscribers. I
Yeah,
have
give
zero
me
views, but I got 1 million subscribers.
but I got free five, yeah. So give me a $40 item that I could buy on my own on Amazon for free. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure
it's
how that
definitely a
works.
it's definitely a thing. It was a big thing on like Twitter.
Yeah.
People buy followers just
Okay.
to look important and stuff. It must happen on YouTube, but YouTube, for good or ill, is smart enough to the algorithm is a black box, but watch time is the thing that the YouTube algorithm cares about.
Yeah, that's been
So
emphasized a lot
keep
lately,
watching,
the last three
like and
years.
subscribe for sure. But
Yeah, you've noticed that the watch time on videos has gotten longer. So like before the people would go viral with like a 30-second thing, but that's all TikTok now. You don't do that. That's not that format doesn't work as well on YouTube as it used to.
Shorts is its own like separate silo because they want to be every like TikTok exploded and then everyone's like, I'm going to make a TikTok. So there's like
Hmm.
reels and shorts and all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's its own beast.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who got a lot of success on shorts that didn't translate, but there's some like D&D shorts obviously started doing shorts and now
Mhm.
is like one of the biggest D&D YouTubers. Zipper on Disney's slowed down. I think he's focused on other things right now, but he did very well with shorts. But it's a different audience. The person who's going to listen to me talk for 25 minutes
Yeah.
is, not the person most of the time. I mean, we all have moods, I guess, but like the person who's going to watch a 30-second gag um,
Right.
is maybe less interested in the 30-minute deep dive on like,
It
you
seems
know,
like it's a good way to introduce people to your channel because they get more exposure. I think like, you can and then if somebody's like, hey, this guy's all right, let's see what else he has to say about D&D or whatnot. So cool.
yeah,
But back to the
diversify, like
yeah,
everything.
yeah. But back to the mage. So we killed so we finally finish off this mage. We find a book and he's got his name written inside of it.
Yeah.
And so we we later end up going back to town and going to this wizard tower in Saltmarsh, and we meet up with this wizard, and we've got the great idea that we're not going to sell the book to the first person who offers us 37 gold pieces for it. We're going to go to somebody who might have more interest in it, see if we can get more money. So we walk up to the door of this. There's four adventurers that walk up and knock on this guy's door at 9 o'clock at night. And this very tall, 7 foot tall human wizard in basically like I imagine like a smoking jacket or whatever, like comes down and answers the door and says like, yes, can I help you? And we're just like, we have this book that we found and it's got a name in it. And he just takes it and puts it in his pocket.
Well, you were like, hey, do you know
Yeah.
this guy?
Yeah,
And he said yes.
yeah.
It's like, oh, we found his spell book. It's like, oh, I'll make sure he gets it.
I'll return this to him. Yeah, right. He just takes it. So like there we go. But but Mike, our druid, he plays the female druid, Snowfall at Dusk. He he sort of retrieves the situation because he has another book he wants to sell. So he's like, yeah, what about this book? And he just like holds on to it the whole
hmm
time.
hmm
And it's something about the Philosopher's Stone, which, every alchemist wants to make everything into gold. So, you know, and he's like, well, I'll give you $30 for it or something. And then I think I made my character say, well, you're just gonna start printing gold. Why don't you give us a little bit more, right? And then he's like, "I take it or leave it." So that was funny though.
It's interesting. I've been experimenting with doing less. Now that we're back into fifth edition, all the players are in their comfort zone. It's like, all right, you're in town. Here's the map of town. Like, I'll tell you what's what. You know, I gave you guys like the numbered map, like the DM's map of town. It's not just like, what is this blue thing a thing? It's like, no, what's 21?
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
easier. Yeah.
so I like set you loose in town for most of the last session. Um, and yeah, I mean, you kick over a rock, you find information, but there's a little bit of learning the hard way going on right now of like, you could have asked around like, what's this wizard's deal? You just
Nah, we're
it's
not
a very
that.
it's an impulsive
Yeah,
group right now.
yeah. These guys just rush in. We don't do any research.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh yeah, what was the one? Well, actually, this was during the Dolmenwood campaign where somebody said, "Go find this person," and we just said, "Okay, great." We ran out. We didn't even get a physical description of the person.
Yes.
Like it was just like, what? So now we're asking for uh what Bertram said photo by mistake, and what's a photo? Yeah, can we have a photo of this person? Like, what's a
What?
photo? And he's like, no, no, no. I mean, like a portrait or like a drawing. And then I went on my phone and found those absolutely horrible police sketches that look like a second grader drew them.
Uh,
And then I almost took a deep dive, but we got on with the session. But there's this whole thing about like spooky ones. So like, yeah, look that up sometime, like spooky police drawings. And it's like goth and like they're like stuff you would find in the monster manual, or a DM Dungeons and Dragons module. It was really funny. It's like I want to be a Wizard of the Coast's artist. I don't want to be a police
mhm.
sketch artist.
Little interpretation.
But yeah, but I think the shopping experience is universal to D&D players, at least what I've seen. When I run for the kids and even for Adventure League, when they love shopping.
Mhm.
D&D players love going shopping, and especially when you dangle things just out of their reach, and then they start like adding up their gold. If we pull our gold, we can get one cloak of protection, but then who's going to wear it? And then you get the interesting dynamics of how the character is going to operate. I ended up with all these +1 arrows I didn't even really want, but now that's fine. I'll take them. But
They
like
were
I
they
wasn't
were
shopping for those.
they were a deal.
Yeah,
You
but like
can't resist a
somebody's
good
like,
deal.
"Oh, let's buy these." Okay, well, I don't have a bow. Do you have a bow? I don't have a bow. And it's like,
They're only 75 gold. We gotta get them.
I have a bow. Meanwhile, there were all those bows that were like left over in the dungeon after we killed the hobgoblins. So there were these longbows. So we went back and got those. But yeah, it's like it's funny. It's there's I always forget about that dynamic. There's two things that I was watching a YouTuber and he said when you're teaching kids how to play D&D, don't forget shopping, and he said and pets, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
familiars. So like your little baby you just showed everybody.
Yep.
Like the kids love having those little there you go. Those
Not just
little
kids, folks.
yeah, they love having their little familiars. And in fact, that was so I'm playing a rogue and you were like, I'll teach you how to rogue. So like the great things about rogues are
Mm,
sneak attacks and the extra damage and that sort of thing. But I was thinking like, okay, which way do I want to go? Because we're at level 2. When we get to level 3, I get to pick like, an archetype, subclass. So I'm thinking like if I go arcane trickster, you get find familiar.
mhm.
Now you're a rogue that has extended vision, right? Because you can send that little doggy into the marketplace and have it like run around and look. You can look through its eyes, like what um like what's his name from Game of Thrones, your eyes go all white and you get to see
Yeah,
through
yeah, the warg.
the eyes. I
Well,
was gonna
Brand
say
does it too. Yeah, Brand.
yeah, I was gonna say warg, but yeah, we were talking about wargs last night. It's different in D&D. Wargs are rideable mounts, right?
I'm pretty sure in Tolkien
Yeah.
there are wargs, which are like the wolf
Mm.
things that the orcs ride, the goblins
I'm
ride.
I'm 99% sure that's true. I used to play the heck out of this game called Heroes of Might and Magic, and they had different units. and one of them was the wolf. It was a warg, and they used that name.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And in the monster manual, they're big wolf dudes that speak common and goblin.
yeah,
They're like
yeah.
way
That's
scarier than just like, oh, it's a dire wolf. It's like this is a dire wolf with a bad attitude that
yeah.
is gonna talk shit before he eats your face off.
They're intelligent, and that's the thing. But because they're intelligent, you can do things to them too, right? So there's
Right.
certain spells you cast on them that you can't cast on creatures that have
Hmm.
like one intelligence.
Hmm.
So like when the giant centipedes like jumped out of the hole in the kitchen floor and came at us, you can't like hold person those guys,
Whoa,
you
whoa,
know.
whoa. Can we talk about this?
Yeah,
No.
let's do it.
They're bugs.
Yeah. So that was fun. So I don't know how many times you emphasized we heard skittering in the kitchen. So we go back to this haunted mansion, we hear these noises. So we're being and it was really funny is that the first time we encountered this, the party was kind of split. We encountered it a couple times. I opened the door to look and then I closed the door real fast the first time. So we got an idea of the interior space. Oh, yes, it's a kitchen. Yes, there's something alive in there. We're not going to encounter that right now since the party's split. Close the door. And then we find this way into the basement. There's a trap door, and Bertram and Patrick's characters investigate it, and then they decide against it. Their better judgment. They're like, nah, we hear
Hmm.
something up there. We don't want to go up there right now. The rest of the party's in the other room uh, about to get killed, and the opening the door that says "Do not enter," and then when we go back, Bertram's like, "I'm gonna investigate the room." Like when you just turn, we just found out that there's, and then oh, there you go, you
Yeah.
sprung the trap. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, so that was fun.
I was so for the DMs out there, I had a very interesting problem's too strong of a word,
Mhm.
but the dungeon was cleared basically. The top floor is mostly empty. And I think that's cool for setting the atmosphere in the beginning where it's like, what is this haunted house? And like, you find there's like a spooky little doll thing that you find that's worth 10 gold, but it's creepy. It's all like atmospheric stuff. Um, and you guys did that last. I like a metagame style. Like I didn't draw the top floor this session. I was like, all
Mhm.
right, like it's not going to be entertaining or fun to go up there and explore whatever it is, 9, 10 rooms as if it were a dungeon that are mostly empty. There's one like trap. There's there was something up there, but like narrative wise, it wouldn't be there the next day after you killed everybody.
Yeah, it
um
would flee.
so I turned it into a skill challenge to kind of like montage it. Everybody rolled a different skill based on the skill and the results. People got different interactions, different rooms. You fell through the floor. You
Yeah,
rolled
that
pretty
was
poorly.
fun.
So
Yeah.
you found the trap or the
Well, the way
functions
you
as a trap.
did it
But
was interesting. So tell them about how you did the different skills.
so a skill challenge is an adaptation from fourth edition. But usually there's like you need a number of successes before failures before like so three successes before three failures or something, but there was no dramatic tension or like ticking clock in this scenario.
Okay.
So I like kind of toyed with that idea, but it was all right. Everybody goes around the table, tell me what skill you're using, and we can't double up on skills. Everybody has to use a different skill, and you got to tell me how you're doing it, right? Because like it was a joke, but Bertram was like, "I'm gonna roll persuasion. I'm gonna try to persuade this house to tell me its secrets." And I was like, I don't know, man. Do you have speak with house? Like, I don't think that's gonna work." Um,
No, but that might have worked in the scenario with the giant, where the house actually had kind of a personality, sort of. It was going
yeah,
to awaken,
yes.
so that
I
might have been a thing. But yeah,
even
but
that I
that,
feel like that would be like Arcana or something to
yeah,
like
yeah,
commune with the house. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you have to be pretty open ended to like I want to say yes in the scenario, like pitch me how you're going to use whatever skill, because like on the player's side of things they're going to try to use their best skill, right?
sure, of
So a
course.
sorcerer or charisma based character is like, I'm going to use charisma, but you gotta sell me on it, right? I'm here to
Hmm.
buy, but you gotta make it make sense inside the game. So everybody did a different thing and got different results, and there was like investigation, there was perception. You went stealth. You were like
Yeah,
sneaking
I couldn't
around.
figure out how to do it narratively, but you gave it to me anyway, which was crazy. But but what ended up being a humorous moment because it was like, you're sneaking around, and actually Bertram was the one that was like, you're like stepping on each floorboard and going eat, eat,
Mm.
eat, eat, and then crash through to the first floor, which was awesome color. That was a lot of fun. Uh, I think it's important to emphasize, like you were saying about skill checks, not doubling up on them. That's a thing that I encounter a lot with beginner players at Adventure League, or even the kids be like, I want to roll a perception check. Well, and then somebody fails. Well, I'll roll a perception check, and I'll roll
Yeah.
a perception check. So, well, now you just had like triple like advantage. Like that, of course, somebody's gonna roll over 15. So, how do you limit that at the table? What do do like you did it with us by just stating it at the very beginning? But do you
Yeah, the
give
dog the
people a
dog pile
second?
is a problem.
Mhm.
I think on perception, it's like, yeah, everybody's looking around, right? So everyone feels it's hard to argue against, really. Like everyone's checking out their. I like dungeon turns, which is not a thing in fifth edition, but I like, what are you doing? Okay, cool. I'm not going to tell you what happens. What are you doing? I go around the table, everybody's doing, I mean, if someone's helping, cool. But odds are naturally people will differentiate because they don't want to leave stuff on the, especially if I drill down into specifics. I'm going to roll a perception check. Like, nah, tell me what your character's doing. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go check out the desk. Well, if he's looking at the desk, I'm going to go look at the tapestry. So that's one way to mitigate it. And that gives me the option as the DM, okay, I know what everybody's doing. I don't have to go around the table in the order that I spoke to them. I'm going to deliver the information in the most interesting narrative way. You know, this guy's finding the bugs under the floorboards. I'm telling him his answer last, right? Well, this guy, the desk is empty. Ba-na-na-na, here's the magic treasure, and you're under attack roll initiative. Like I can shape it that way.
Right?
Beyond that, straight up, I will just say, like, I'll give you two at bats. That's the thing I say a lot. Like, I'll let, because like help action is the thing. Like, two people can do it, one person can do it with advantage. That's the limit. Otherwise, the game is roll dice until you get a number that's big enough, and that's not that fun.
Right,
Like,
right. Otherwise, we're just doing like a talking novel. So,
it's a pretty boring game to me. It's just like, all right, everybody roll dice until someone gets a 15. It's like,
so
well,
that's
okay.
so I love the dungeon order. I've done that when I've had tables of like 7 players,
Mm,
and you're like, okay, guys, we gotta go in order. You guys are all yelling over each other. We gotta do that, and
yes.
then and there's a point I want to get back to a little bit later where you have like the caller, but
Mm,
because that's cool. We did that last night. But before I do that, I had an incident. I was running about a month ago, and it came up again as I was a player last week at Adventure League, and the kid next to me was at my table when I was running a dungeon. He has guidance as a cantrip. What do you do about that? It's like every time somebody rolls guidance, 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 like he's got his D4 out,
yep.
and he's 10 years old and he's excited to play, and that's awesome. But like, so what do you do in that situation where,
Well, I mean, I might let it. I'm going to treat a 10-year-old differently, right, than
right?
a 30-year-old, a
Well, give
40
me
year
the
old at my
time,
table.
give me the difference.
But like, um, we'll say it requires concentration, right? That is the one in-game thing that kind of stops you from spamming concentration. It's also, from an adult standpoint, I'll be like, if you spam it, then like I have to counterbalance the game, and like you adding 2.5 on average to every roll and me adding 2.5 to every DC over time it just slows things down. So like be judicious. A lot of adult players will appreciate especially like an old I don't know if the kids still say cheesing. Cheesing has meant 4 different things since it meant just mashing all the buttons on the controller or whatever.
Right,
But
right.
it's kind of like bad etiquette, right? There's like etiquette in gaming, spamming or cheesing or whatever, just constantly doing guidance. Um, you can solve some of those problems like above board, above the table. In game, guidance is a touch spell. So like
Mm,
you want to cast guidance on the thief when he's picking the lock or trying to disarm this trap, then like you are in the blast zone.
hmm hmm
And
Gotcha.
you're not doing anything else. You were saying a prayer, touching this person's shoulder when the poison cloud, pops off on the from this treasure chest, or
Right. Or when
you miss
the
an opportunity to
poisonous.
cast guidance on that. Dungeon turns actually will solve that too, to a degree,
Okay.
in exploration, right? Because it's like, what are you doing? In theory, a dungeon turn is 10 minutes, but it can be pretty abstract. So like, okay, if you want to cast guidance, sure, like that's what you're doing is you're giving this person a D4 on their roll. There's an opportunity cost there. And especially maybe with the 10-year-old, they'll start to feel that opportunity cost of like, I'm not doing anything other than participating in everyone else's turn, which is
Yeah.
cool. Like I like a
Yeah.
support caster,
Yeah.
but there'll come a point where it's like, oh no, I want to be the I want to like you can cast guidance or you can go check this wall for secret doors, but you can't do both at the same time. Which what do you do? Give the player agency autonomy still. Um, but yeah,
That's a good way to do it. And guidance can take time too. So you can say, okay, well, you're saying this prayer, but that's going to take like a certain amount of time.
yeah.
It's not instantaneous.
And I mean, it is a 6-second spell, but it's
Yeah.
concentration too. So I feel like
Yeah.
concentration is kind of abstract, right? You can't
Yeah.
do another concentration spell, but like what else can like if you're looking for secret doors, you're gonna drop concentration on your guidance or something. So again, I like dungeon turns a lot because it solves some problems that happen like that, and it encourages a more immersive exploration that's kind of missing, I find, in fifth edition.
Well, this is a good point. So, one of the things that I mean, I obviously deal with new players a lot.
Hmm.
So, teaching etiquette is a thing, right?
Yep.
So, like that's a responsibility actually as a dungeon master in Adventure League or as a teacher in a classroom.
Mhm.
The one of the first things that I've done because I've made the mistake before of letting these 10-year-olds run roughshod over etiquette is that now when I start a class, say, okay, this is the expected behavior in my classroom. This is the minimum expected behavior. Okay, we can have fun within these parameters. However, you know, there are certain things that can't be said or done because we're in a classroom environment and I'm an adult and you're a child and we're not going to, there's certain things that like, and this is what I'm thinking of now. There are going to be more rules as we go because there are going to be things I hadn't thought about and we're going to like determine that too. So just keep that in mind. And, and I think setting that out at the start. So like at the beginning of Adventure League, we'll set out like certain rules at the start but I don't usually do the dungeon in order thing until that becomes a thing, uh, dungeon turns. But there was another thing that happened at the table yesterday, which was interesting, and people should probably be aware of this. In public spaces, there's noise, right?
Mm,
So we were
mm.
at a long table, and you were at one end, and I was kind of in the middle, so I had no problems. But at the other end, Patrick, the paladin, was sitting, and and at one point, I kind of felt like I was doing too much because I was the face of the party. So I was like, and we were in town and we were trying to get best prices and we were negotiating and we were, so it made sense for me to be doing a lot of the talking at that moment.
You had the
But
initial point of contact, right?
yeah,
You guys were trying to fence some stolen goods, and you were the rogue, and you had established contact with this legitimate businessman who happened to speak thieves' cant and offered to fence goods if you happened to find some.
exactly. Uh, but
So I
at
wouldn't feel
one,
guilty. It was natural, and then I watched them like push you into that role a couple times too.
and that was fine, and that's fine, and I get it. But if it's at the point where I realize it that I've taken that certain amount of time has elapsed before other people have talked at the table, I am as a dungeon master, I know enough to step back. So I
And that's why I love dungeon masters
yeah,
as players at my table. That's that's
share the spotlight, guys.
the knowledge, the zoomed out view of the game that like I will see dungeon masters exercise that like players don't necessarily do, and a it's not I don't blame
No,
them.
it's an
It's very
awareness
easy
thing.
to see your silo, but like yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's what, yeah, you share. And I think that goes back to like the etiquette isn't just like I'm the grown up and you're the or like I'm the DM. It's like this is a team sport and we're gonna make room for each other. And if you cast guidance every time, then like we're gonna devote so many minutes of this game to you doing that, and other people get less minutes to do their cool stuff. So be
right.
judicious.
So at one point I noticed Patrick at the head of the table, furthest away, uh he he hadn't said anything in a while. And I was kind and he was on his phone. And I thought, uh-oh, what's going on here? So at one point there was a roll, we were rolling 7 times and there were 4 players. So I sat up and then
Oh
he
yes.
rolled. So he rolled and then that got him to into the game again. But what I didn't realize was in the meantime, he was writing this amazing backstory for his character. Did you
Yes.
see that? And
Yes.
I didn't comment on it because it was already 10:30 at night. I didn't want to like keep the people up with the group chat, but today I want to compliment him on it and just say like, I can't believe you wrote that in like 10 minutes. Like that was fabulous. Unless it's something he's been working on and he transcribed over.
I,
Either way, it's a
I
great
think it's in
backstory.
his yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he made all that up at the table last night.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
I'm like, wow.
But yeah, he's also someone who's run games.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the newest person at the table. So I see him observing. He's asking questions about like style and it's not just like can my character do this? Like, what do you think about this? He's a little too deferential maybe, and I think that just comes from time, but he's sat down at a new group and he's figuring out the vibe of the group
Mhm.
before he starts pushing, which is
Natural.
cool to see. Which is cool to
Hmm.
it's like, okay, you are also looking at this game at a deeper level. What's the dynamic between 5 people, not just like, all right, how can I in like it's not just I'm gonna insert my cool backstory. It's like
Right.
or how like what is the and I have some difficulty answering some of his questions because he was like asking about setting and stuff, and I'm like, well, technically Saltmarsh is Greyhawk, and I think we're going to Greyhawk. I've I know like I know how it fits into Forgotten Realms as well in my headcanon because I did that. So right now, like I'm gonna keep this in a quantum state between the two until you force me to collapse that wave function. Like I'm leaning in a little bit more to the Greyhawk stuff that I might have edited out. Because full disclosure, I don't know Greyhawk super well, and I'm not gonna do a ton of research on 20, 30-year-old answers that might
Right.
be replaced in 4 months. But if we're going, I'm rooting. I just want new stuff out of 5.5, right? So
Sure.
if we're leaving Forgotten Realms and going to Greyhawk, I'm into it. Not because I like Greyhawk better, but just like give me something new after a
Hmm.
decade. Stop remaking the same movies over and over again. Give me new content. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
he's what you were talking about. I had a lot of difficulty. There was a lot. Again, I've been taking a back seat, especially in a town day. Like, okay, figure out what you want to do. And there was a lot of debate, but in a crowded room, I don't know, 50, 60 people in this like, almost like it's like in a catering hall. Or
That's right.
so I was having difficulty hearing the other side of the table, and I didn't know. I like interjected a few times while like you guys were talking about what you wanted to do, and like I felt like I didn't want to like force you to make a decision. But then I stopped doing that. I was like, okay, like am I ignoring people on the other side of the table? So I made you the caller just because of geography, because of where you were sitting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Pat's next to me and next to you. Pat, you tell me when you guys have decided to do a thing.
So that's okay. So that's the thing. So for those who know what that is, great. Those who don't know what that is, if you're running a session and you're a newer DM and you've got a bunch of guys and they're all talking over each other, or they're doing it in an orderly way, they're discussing, and everybody's got an idea, and maybe there are a couple different ideas out there. Even if you can hear everybody at the table, sometimes what we DMs do is we pick a caller. And
Mhm.
so you got that one person that says, you know, okay, you're in the arena. There's a lion, there's a minotaur, and there's a guy on a horse with a spear. They're all coming at you. What are you doing? And they're like, and then, Mike will say, we're going to focus on the Minotaur. Okay. And then, you know what I mean? You pick, if there's a choice, if there's a thing where you need the consensus to focus on one thing, you anoint somebody as the person who speaks that. That doesn't mean that their voice has any more weight necessarily. They're just the one that's like, okay, once you officially say this to the DM, you're the representative, right?
Yes.
Yes. And for the
Yes.
group, right? And so that's a way to order things at a table when things can get chaotic.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it's a good tool to have in your toolbox when, I mean, one that was, there's been loud days, I think, and we're at a different table now, and it's a coffee shop now. It's like
Yeah,
there's a
there's
lot going on
ambient
in there.
noise of the machine that he's
Yeah.
using to make coffee and the smack, smack, smack every time he's hitting the grounds out, and things. And there's a different vibe to this store now. It's a marketplace now. It's
Yeah,
a
and it's vibing, right? Like there's no complaints. I enjoy seeing it being popular. I enjoy
yes,
seeing it full of people.
yeah. We want him to
Um,
stay in business. We like this guy.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but at one point, I don't know if you noticed or not, there was a guy who walked in and just kind of looked around, and he didn't seem like he was there for gaming. It looked like maybe he had never been in the store before and he was just checking it out. And that's interesting because prior to this experience, it's like the same cast of characters. I mean, even the 40 people are on the other side of the room. If I ran into them in context, I would recognize them, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, that's the lady who wears glasses, and that's her husband, I presume, because they always come in and out together, and they both are wearing rings, and they talk to each other in a certain way. And then there's the person who comes in, there's the girl that comes in with her mother, and then there's so I know if I don't know them by name, I know them by sight. And I guess this goes back to me being a bartender for so long too. Like
Ah,
I watch the entrances and exits of every place that um I'm that guy, like I go into a movie theater and I'm like, okay, if there's a fire, I go out this way, this way, this way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I have that kind of awareness because out of necessity for so many years, just
right.
you needed to like every time the door opened, you needed to know who was walking out that door. Is this going to be a problem? Or is this somebody I know? What's going on here? And so yeah, so this dude walked in, it was about 9:15, 9:30, which is close to closing time for them. So and he walked around and looked around and then walked out. And I thought, well, okay, so that's relatively new. That doesn't happen here that much, but that's going to happen more often now. So I don't know. Not that that was a problem. It was just something that happened that was interesting. But yeah, there are these other distractions at our table.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important. So at one point, I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to swap spots and be in the center. So
I was thinking about that this morning. I think maybe
yeah,
we could go back to there's
I
another
don't
table
mind.
which was maybe worse, but maybe better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like I don't
And
mind
then
sitting
yeah,
at the end of a table instead of
I don't use it. I
in the
don't use
middle
a
of the table.
screen. I don't. Well, actually, maybe that's an argument for being at the head of the table. But like, I don't feel like I need to be at the head of the table to like
Command the
preserve some sort of
table.
authority
Yeah.
or mystery or something. Like, yeah,
No,
maybe
but
I will
there
sit in
is
the
a
middle
thing
next time.
about that. Is there like there's something in our culture that's just like, okay, if you're the host of the party and the DM sort of is the host and the focus,
Yeah,
obviously, at many moments. So to be at the head of the table. But I think that's something I'm gonna think about now too. When I'm running my Adventure League games, be at the middle of the table. I can see everybody, can hear everybody. I do use a DM screen and I can hide what I need to hide, but also I can reach the map better. So I can draw
mm,
my map.
hmm,
I can manipulate the characters on the map or at least the NPC figurines on the map better. So that's a good lesson for me too. I just coming to that realization right now that, yeah, I think I'm going to start sitting at the middle of the table. Yeah. And
yeah.
then
I've
there's
done that
like,
for some sessions. That's why you see a
yeah,
lot of when I can, I pre-draw a lot of them that. Like if you're walking up to a building, like, yeah, okay, you know the exterior. I'm giving you a recon. Like you don't have to tell me you walk around quietly hiding unless whatever. That's not always true, but like usually you walk up to a house, here's the exterior of the house. I pre-drew it in my prep
yeah,
so that I have less reaching over to do,
Yeah.
especially once the minis are out and whatever. Um,
Yeah,
but
but there's something about the exploration aspect and drawing the map as you go there's a dynamic to that too that I really like.
yes,
Either unveiling it, drawing it ahead of time, putting down papers and unveiling it. Uh, that's always kind of a nice little like dramatic reveal kind of
I
thing.
used to do a lot of that.
Or
Yeah.
let's like flip the map over, and now it's all on the other side of the map. That's kind of cool. So there can be moments, depends on what you're running and how you're running it. But if it's the big boss room at the end, sometimes I'll flip it and it's like, this is where the set piece battle is going to be for the next 30 minutes. There's no need for exploration at this point. You see the cavern and you see the baddie up there and his minions. So,
Funny you should mention that. We did spend a lot of time in town and doing like admin stuff. But you stopped just short of getting that map flipped last night.
oh, oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And seeing the just the exterior, right? I didn't fill anything in, but like here's a boat. You know what this boat looks like. You get like as you pull up to it, okay, it's like whatever it is, 90 feet
Right.
by 30 feet or
So just to sum up, we went back in the narrative, so we have a good stopping place and a starting place for next week's recap. So we go back to the haunted house. We had found this rowboat like underneath the house. There was like a secret entrance to the ocean. There was some stolen goods. We took those back to town. We sold them. We came back via the rowboat, parked it, took this Aldous lamp or this like levered like lantern with like you can send signals, basically Morse code. Found a place in the dust, which was a really nice touch. You find a place in the dust that's been disturbed that looks like the base of this lamp fits perfectly in it. So right by this window, we made this. We had found a piece of paper that had codes on it, like this for hello, this for yeah, it's me, and this for approach, or something like that.
and
And so
man, I had this great idea for like 2 weeks. I took out my phone and I was trying to like Morse code with the flashlight, and it was like
it
not quite responsive
wasn't
enough to
fast
be like
enough.
short long. Like it kept
Wasn't
like tapping. I
fast
was like,
enough.
all right, whatever. You get the idea.
I do. And I almost always have a flashlight
Yeah,
somewhere.
I should have brought a real
Yeah. And
flashlight
you
or
just go
like
like,
I didn't think to like
actually, this one's
practice.
not fast enough. Oh, now it is.
Yeah,
Like
you
that
need
kind of
like the
thing.
response, or I mean, I guess I could have like slowed down the tempo too, but like
Yeah.
short in Morse code feels like feels real short.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You want to have definitely make them distinct.
yes,
So that, yeah, but that was a brilliant idea. Just the
it
mechanical thing
almost
didn't
worked.
squawk, but it was big. We got the idea. I like that. And every once in a while, a dungeon master. There's one dungeon master I work with. He loves music and ambient noises, and he'll have them already queued up, and that's pretty cool. I'm not quite that advanced. I've done that occasionally, but I think that's pretty cool for first time players too. I'll have to
I
work
used to
on
do a
that.
lot of that online, and they actually killed. There was I don't even remember what it was called, but there was a bot that you could pull YouTube or Spotify and build playlists and run it through Discord. And I think YouTube like squashed it because it wouldn't like play the
Uh,
commercials.
uh, yeah,
I
yeah,
forget what it was called. Something with a boat. I forget. I don't know. But when they killed that bot, I was like, all right. So I like kind of stopped using it.
yeah.
And it's a lot of effort. I'm gonna
Oh
spend an
no,
extra 20 minutes in
yeah.
prep
I
making a
I
playlist.
mean,
I'm gonna
I don't think people appreciate how much DMs appreciate it, but I don't know how many players really know how much time goes into DM prep, and it's a lot, and it's not, and it's cumulative, of course. Like you were saying about like the meta knowledge that you have of Greyhawk versus Forgotten Realms.
right.
I don't have that. I know what they are. I haven't spent a lot of time reading, outside material to get the parts of the universe, partly because that's a spoiler for me.
It does
As a
preclude you.
player,
Yeah, yeah.
and partly so I want to discover with other people, but it has left me flat-footed whenever I've played at a table with an experienced DM as a player, and they know way more than I do, and that's like, yeah, Jed, you're right, but that doesn't apply here. Or but anyway, like you just have to like kind of like admit you're not as knowledgeable and then get on with your campaign as well. So, and it's fine. There's all these different tiers of knowledge and learning. And it's all about to be shaken up, right? Like in a few weeks, they're going to take that snow globe and they're going to shake that up. And now all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, rogues don't have rapiers anymore. What? I just got a silvered rapier. What? You're not going to let me? Oh, I mean, you can use it, but or wait, can you? I don't know. Anyway, there was some talk about that. But apparently we're getting maneuvers and all these other cool things. So like, it's going to be fun. I think the next 3 weeks are going to be a lot.
I'm interested. I have nitpicks, or maybe more than nitpicks, with how it's going and how it's been. But again, give me new stuff. I'm here for an update. I'm here for change. Because I'm comfortable taking what I like and leaving what I don't.
Exactly. And
It's
that's the
gonna
thing.
it's gonna be a weird transitional phase a little bit. Which is why again there's some like ambiguity built into like we just started a new thing. It's like, all right, everything's gonna change in 3 weeks. So but I think that comes back to the like I don't know the lore here. You can just make it up. This is your version of whatever it is. Um,
Right.
and if you're playing with adults, even if you're playing with kids, maybe, but like if you're playing with adults, dropping that veil of omniscient authority. Just like, oh, I don't know. And you tell, yeah, oh, okay. You read all the Dritz novels? Like, yeah, you tell me what's going on over in Mandalbar or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and once you figure everything out, they change it. That's true for the rules and for the lore. Like, that's the problem with a lot of Forgotten Realms lore. Is like, oh, they killed all like the god of magic died and everything changed. Maybe. And now the universe is structured differently because we changed
Yeah.
editions. It's like, okay, this is why I stopped reading all the Marvel because like you keep getting reset.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Everything's an
oh, the universe is
alternative. Which
nothing counts
universe are
anymore.
we
Okay,
in?
yeah, I
Right.
don't care.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's the whole Loki, like, thing. Like, which universe are we actually in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the final set piece battle, or one of the things we're gonna do apparently next week, we're rowing out to the ship with not a very good plan. And and we're gonna board and see what happens.
Well, you got a week to come up with the plan, but it was
Yeah.
I liked that moment of like dawning realization, like, oh, like
We thought there were
the
gonna be a
smugglers would go
small,
pick up the stuff from the big boat because like
yeah,
there's no way like a ship is gonna come dock in this like little cave.
right,
And it's like the dark of night. It's a smuggling operation that you're pretending to be a part of right now. So like there's a lot
right,
of cloak and dagger stuff built into it.
right.
So the dawning realization of like, all right, here's like we're gonna lure them in with the
Yeah.
light and we're
Yeah. Are we gonna
gonna get the
pretend that
drop
like
on them.
we're the new crew and the old crew is gone, or are we gonna what are we gonna do? So
Yeah.
like we've got a couple different ideas. And so
And I
yeah.
like stopping at places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not every group takes advantage of it, but being like, all right, you got a week to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can hit the ground running. And that's also like a good trick to keep players engaged. Like here's a reason to think about D&D all week and look forward to it.
Yeah, cliffhangers are a thing for a reason,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And I did that with uh the the last thing I ran was the joy of extra dimensional spaces. And at the end of the first of that adventure, you find the protagonist presumably dead, and what I did was I had a curse that was on one of the characters, and he was supposed to lift the curse. Now he's deceased, and the character still has the curse. So it's like, and we'll deal with that next time, and
Mm.
they're like, oh, so like, but like, they're all good things have to come to an end. So yeah, so anyway, that's good. All right. Well, I thought we had a good session. We talked about a lot of
Yeah.
nuts and bolts DM stuff, and
Speaking of good things coming to an end
yeah, so this will
and
come to
ending
an
on a
end.
cliffhanger.
And if you're still hanging out with us, press like and watch our channels. That's what we do this for. We're here for you. We have fun doing. I have fun doing it. I see you having fun doing it.
Yeah.
Your live talks on Fridays now are really fascinating to me. I
Yeah.
don't get to listen to them all the time, but I get to snipe a little bit from the sidelines, which is fun. I get to
Come hang
throw some
out.
points.
We've got it's a good chat too, where you get three YouTubers in a room and then all the other YouTubers show up, and yeah, it's a
There's
good
a
chat. And like,
I've
yeah,
learned a lot in a very short period of time. Let's put it that way.
there's a lot of insight coming from those guys. I mean, like whatever. I got my own opinions and biases and ideas or whatever. I've been doing it for a while, but yeah, Brad and Drim are great people, and it's a good time. And again, like there's a lot of interesting things and wisdom are coming out of the chat too. We try to like a lot of plate spinning, especially with three people talking. But like, yeah, we try to integrate with the chat as much as possible. So yeah, come hang out every Friday, casual Friday. Um, it's a good time.
All right. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.